Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new patch video with me, Sherman. We're going to be talking about 3.3.3. This is the latest patch on PTS, and this patch has some pretty interesting changes. I'm not going to lie. From a player standpoint, some people are going to be like, oh man. From my standpoint, I'm like, yes, finally. So let's get into it right away. So starting with this, they added some new stuff to the PTS templates, which is kind of cool for those who are on PTS. Fang Lair got some really good changes, no offense, but they did. You will now see the visual effects on doors awarded by the Animus Crystals. That's a good thing. The Obedience Maiming achievement is now correctly awarded if you defeat the Cadaverous Mandarin, whatever, without being killed by the Cadaverous Sensei Tiger's Death Grip. The door leading to the Mandarin will now close when you engage the creatures. Chanris will now be a bit chattier when dealing with her minions. Increase the overall health of Thorvikin, which needed to happen after reciting the incarnations to activate hard mode. Lowered the health of the Animus Crystals in normal difficulty, which is a good thing for those wanting to do the normal. And the Bone Colossus no longer spawns from the Animus Crystal summoning circles in normal difficulty. Thank you. Because that's going to help out a lot of new players become more comfortable with this content. Because it's tough. This is some tough stuff. I'm not going to lie. Try doing this with a two-handed tank. Oh my god, is it hard. But it's fun. It's what I like. So, added visual effects to the Animus Crystal summoning circle when it is actively spawning monsters. Thorvikin's terrorizing roar now disintegrates any active wraiths and keeps the wraiths from reappearing for a brief period. And relocated the Journal of Orion Black away from his incarnation notes. Thorvikin will now have the correct health after fusing with the Orion the Black. See, this is stuff that needed to happen. It's changes that does create a little bit more difficulty, but also eases the difficulty on the normal mode for the players learning the content. Now, I will say, Vet mode on Fang Lair is definitely hard. It's not like Imperial City Prison hard, but it's pretty dang close. And Skullcaller also got some adjustments. Corrupting Lemon's Winter Corruption now applies damage correctly. Thank you. And the Terror Trouble achievement will now fall if your character is killed by terrorizing Tremor. That sucks. Icy Prison and Storm Gaze will no longer affect player characters outside of the visual telegraphs. That's something that needed to be fixed because it was a real problem. And then the Ogre Brutes will now animate correctly when using Frost Pillar. Cool. So these are a lot of good changes. This one especially, Fang Lair had a lot of things that you couldn't tell unless you were paying really close attention. And now they're going to have like markers for it. They're going to have different like visual effects, that kind of thing. They also took out the Bone Colossus, which is these guys hit like a bus. So this is a good change. Now I will say this, if you're two-handed tanking Fang Lair, be very careful. Because one loss of your shields and you could wipe the whole party. So you have to maintain that. Just like playing a block tank. You need to keep that taunt on them, you need to keep the block up, you need to stay on target with that, because otherwise one mistake and it can wipe the whole party with a Bone Colossus. Alright, moving on. Battlegrounds. You will no longer be able to negate damage from Chaos Ball effects. Player characters can once again be interrupted while picking up relics, even if they are CC immune. That's awesome. That's actually a good change. I like that change, because that's one of the things that was irritating. Was you'd get these people that would be CC immune and they'd grab the relic and you couldn't do anything to stop them. So, Warden, Animal Companions. Feral Guardian fixed an issue where the Guardian's Wrath and Guardian's Savagery special attacks from this ability and its morphs could not hit larger monsters such as St. Olms. That's cool. I'm glad they did this. This is going to be great for some of those people that do play DPS in the end game against St. Olms and some of the other larger bosses, because now their bear is actually going to be worthwhile. And the greatest change of all, Dive. The damage from this ability and its morphs can now be dodged in Cyrodiil. Yes, finally. But that's not the only good change. Frozen Retreat. Frozen Gate Morph fixed an issue where the synergy from this morph would fail to teleport you if you had an ally targeted with this, with your reticle. This sucked, because I use this on my healer, and on my warden healer that I was testing, I was using this, and I kept doing it, and I couldn't teleport, and I was like, God, I'm glad they fixed that. Because it in the new dungeons, yeah, you definitely want to be close to your group sometimes, because some of those hits can be pretty bad. So, moving on, dodge and block rule sets have changed. So, we've updated several abilities so that they better adhere to our block and dodge mechanics. The system is set up to be intuitive. Attacks on the ground, such as fire and caltrops, cannot be blocked or dodged. We also want dodging to be useful during some instances and blocking to be useful at other times. The rule set is as follows. Now, this is clarifying the rule set of block and dodge, guys, to the game. AoE explosions, such as radial sweep, spear shards, initial hit, or drain power, beam attacks such as this, cannot be dodged, or cannot be blocked, but or can be blocked but not dodged. So all these things now have the ability to be blocked but not dodged. And then attacks that cannot be blocked or dodged. Damage on the ground, such as wall of elements, caltrops, and lightning splashes, they can't be blocked or dodged. The effects that are inside a player character, such as Daedric Curse or Backlash, damage over time effects, cannot be dodged. And then effects that can be dodged but not blocked. Secondary effects that penetrate blocks, such as the damage over time from Sunfire, the surprise attack, armor debuff, or the snare from low slash, cannot be dodged, but or cannot be dodged or blocked. So these are, you cannot stop these. Note, block continues to provide stun immunity, so it will stop secondary effects like the stun from Stonefist. So exceptions to these rules will be stated each ability's tooltip, such as Fiery Grip, which cannot be dodged or reflected. So they adjusted the length of time bosses are immune to off-balance debuff to 15 seconds, previously 20 seconds. So this is kind of a better change. I'm not going to say, I think 10 seconds would be good, would be better, but 15 seconds is good. It's a compromise. So we want to make it easier to predict when the off-balance debuff will occur. Since off-balance is typically random, this will reduce the number of random factors surrounding the frequency of off-balance occurrences. The predictability will make it easier to respond to off-balance with a specific high damage ability or a heavy attack. So that's good. They're making it to where off-balance is now going to be something that you're going to want to use for like burst and stuff. Standardize off-balance across the game so that it will all applicable abilities and procs apply the effect for 5 seconds. Now, I have to be honest with you guys. Some of these words, like applicable, I have a problem saying, because I do have a speech impediment that I've had since I was a kid. And certain words, when I go to say them, it causes me to mispronunciate and things like that, because I can't form the word. I'll just say that. So it takes me a second to form it properly, and the speech impediment does come in play on a lot of words, even including names like Wooler, because I always call him Woolery. So I apologize for that. But yeah, just letting you guys know. So development content, moving on, the standardized balance. This is good, and they even kind of explain. This will unify the off-balance mechanic into a consistent experience. You now have the same amount of time to take advantage of a target being off-balance, regardless of which ability activated the effect. Synergies now have a 20-second cooldown. Now, they did up these to 30 seconds, but it did cause a lot of problems with a lot of the end-game people. And they got on the forums and rose a fuss about it, which is good, but at the same time, I understand what the devs were trying to do with the synergy system. They were trying to make it to where people used them more strategically instead of just spamming synergies. They want them to use them in a strategic situation, and not just synergy activation abilities like Alkosh, but a lot of different things. So in order to better support our fast-paced combat, we've reverted the synergy cooldown back to 20 seconds. This also means that utilizing synergy such as spear shards can expect the same rate of return they are customized to. So this way it's better for synergy return. Ardent Flame, Searing Strike. The initial direct damage from this ability and its morphs can now be blocked and dodged. So if you guys don't know what Searing Strike is, this is the one that's the poison talons, and it's the fire talons, whatever. It looks like 3 claw marks coming across you. That's Searing Strike from the Ardent Flame. It can now, it cannot be blocked, but the ability and its morphs can now be blocked and dodged. So no more pressure abilities. Assassination, Assassin's Blade. The damage from this ability and its morphs can now be blocked and dodged. Dawn's Wraith, blocked but not dodged. So this can be blocked but not dodged. Solar Barrage. Weapon, Two-Handed, Cleave. The initial direct damage from this ability and its morphs can now be blocked but cannot be dodged. So that's a good thing, because no offense, I use a lot of Cleave myself, and having the enemies or enemy players dodge my attacks is fine, but them trying to block it, them being able to block it is fine, but being able to dodge it, I don't see how that's possible. I mean, you got a two-handed sword coming at you. Yeah, you're not going to be able to dodge it. Sorry. Especially Cleave. Now, I understand, like, the one hand, like the heavy attack, light attack being dodged and blockable. That's understandable. Low Slash. Reduce the duration of this snare applied by this ability. Oh, man. This is one I don't like, because, see, I utilize this. Because I use Deep Slash to apply the 12 seconds to multiple targets. Now it's not going to be as effective. So now I got to come up with a new strategy. So they said powerful snares should have a short duration, while weaker snares should have a long duration. Low Slash fell outside of the rule set and needed to be adjusted. We have plans to do more constant passives on snare duration in the future. Okay, so as long as this is not permanent and they make an adjustment to it, I think 6 seconds is viable. 4 seconds is a little too much. Because I will say 12 seconds made it super powerful, but 6 seconds seems fair for this Low Slash. Dual Wield, Whirlwind. The damage from this ability and its morphs can now be blocked, but cannot be dodged. Sounds good to me. Moving on to Vampire. Clouded Swarm. You can no longer cast the materialized attack from this morph while in midair. So that means no more jumping and... Yeah, good. Alright, combat fixes and improvements. So they did some improvements, I'm not going to lie. Relentless Focus, the Grim Focus morph, fixed an issue where the rank 4 of this and its morph was generating multiple stacks of Merciless Resolve buff for a single light or heavy attack. Now, I did notice that. Siphoning Strife, fixed an issue where the heal over time from this ability and its morphs would still apply if you even if the enemy dodged or dodged the attack. So that's a good fix. And then the Low Slash fixed an issue where the snare from this ability and morphs could be blocked. Lion's War Assault, Razor Caltrops, fixed an issue where the initial direct damage from this morph and its radius of 12 meters instead of the 8 meter radius. So they adjusted the size back down to 8. And then Itemization. Ooh. The proc from this set now only occurs on heavy attacks. Oh, it used to be light and heavy attacks. Now it's on heavy attacks only. Okay. Thorvikin fixed an issue where the damage from this item set was being mitigated against the enemy's spell resistance instead of their physical resistance. That's good. They fixed an issue where the damage from this item set's proc would break enemy Nightblades out of Shadow Cloak. Alright. Set's proc was not increasing properly with every tick. That's a good thing. And then fixed an issue where the tooltip from this item set was not updated to its new proc conditions. So this is good for Zan, for those using Zan. This is really good for those who want to use the Thorvikin set. I like the Thorvikin set for tanking, honestly. Alright, moving on to the base game improvements. So, once you reach level 10, you will now be able to enter Alliance War activity finder regardless of your champion rank. Okay. Art and animation larger. Okay, I'm not worried about that. Crafting economy, not worried about that. Not worried about outfitting. Well, that actually kind of makes sense. Okay. There is one I want to show you guys, which is really cool. Right here. Target dummies of all varieties now behave like dungeon bosses for the purpose of status effects applied to them. So all of you guys complaining about the broken skeletons, they are now fixed, and we can actually test on them with viability. So this is a good change. This is going to be something that's going to really give people a chance to not only just test their rotations, but also get an idea of what their rotations can do for them. But you are going to have off balance to make it, like, to get the correct effects and everything like that. So lightning staff is still going to be required for that, or a shock enchant. So made additional changes to the API to better restrict the ability for add-ons to display combat events prior to your character being impacted. That's very clear. That is very, very clear. It's saying that no add-on can display combat events prior to the character being impacted. So that means, like, when somebody shoots you with a bow from stealth, and you're using, like, Meots would tell you, hey, you got an arrow incoming. It would actually, like, pop up on the screen saying, you know, shit saying, hey, incoming arrow. And it would, like, warn you, so you could dodge roll or get out of the way. Now it won't be able to. So that's a good thing. Yay! Fix an issue that could prevent you from leaving the crafting UI. Okay. You selected. Okay. And that is pretty much it, you guys, for this update. I like a lot of these changes. I think a lot of these changes are really good. I'm glad that they clarified these rules, because these are rules that people they knew, but they didn't quite understand. Now it's very straightforward. Hey, this is what works and what doesn't, you guys. So that's pretty cool that they gave us the rules. As to the off-balance stuff, I like these changes. I'm glad that they made a compromise and brought it down to 15 seconds. I agree that that the cooldown is really affecting, especially for the off-balance in the end game, especially for the meta. This is going to really affect them. Those that don't play the meta, it's not going to affect you as much, especially if you're playing with a group that's not using a lot of off-balance, or if you are using a lot of off-balance, you know, it's still going to affect you. But it's beneficial and it's negative at the same time. So either way. And the fact that they standardized off-balance across the game and all the abilities that can proc it, that's good. And then the 20-second thing back to from 30 seconds, that's a good change. So lots of good changes in this update, even though a lot of people will still be complaining about certain things like the DK being nerfed into the dirt for DPS and all that kind of stuff. The rest of the changes, I think, are good. So, but that's just my opinion. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, please hit that subscribe button. Just to let you guys know, this week I'm going to be doing the healer release, but I have another video I'm going to be releasing today just to kind of go over something that I want to talk about. So we'll leave it at that. So that's it. Thank you all. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.